Hi guys, welcome to today's video. In today's video, we'll look into a scenario in which China becomes the strongest nation. But on an unrelated topic, unfortunately, the 18th Prime Minister of Canada passed away, which is pretty unfortunate. He was mostly known for establishing free trade between the US and Canada, and for securing the largest majority in Canadian history, 211 seats out of 284 seats. It's pretty unfortunate that one of the former prime ministers died. May they rest in peace. Now to the video, guys. After a quick thing, which was about how he established free trade. Brian Mulroney was his name, in case I didn't say who the prime minister's name was. But let's get to the video. And in today's video, we'll look into a scenario in which China becomes a world power. This is going to be more of a series, guys, because I don't think I can show them become the world dominant power in one video. With most likely, one of the first things I would do would be establish a bit of a alliance. This alliance would be important because they need allies in order to create world dominance, which will probably include Pakistan, Myanmar, Laos, Cambodia, North Korea, and Iran. No, I don't think Iran. They seem a bit off. And that would probably help Assad in line to get an alliance with Syria, which would mean they would have Middle East and some oil access in the Kurdish land, so they would help the Kurdish invasion. And one thing I would say China would do would be an invasion of Mongolia, as this would establish them more land, and make their borders better. Honestly, sometimes it's about making the borders good. And they would probably try to align with the Taliban. Although I feel like that'd be a bit hard considering, China's stuff that happens in, Xinjiang. That may or may not be happening, who knows. But in case it is, yeah, I'll acknowledge that isn't a great thing for making relations with Middle Eastern nations oppressing Muslims. Probably not the best thing. But then again, in China, religion's basically illegal. Which I think it is, to be honest. And with China expanding, they might try to expand into the Himalayas. Because why not? And this would be actual invasions for land. I don't think they would get into conflict with India yet, because I don't think they would be ready. Or South Korea. Or try to annex their allies yet. Would they try an invasion of, let's say, Afghanistan? I don't think so. Just because, not enough borders with it, not enough countries cooperating with them. They would probably push closer to Russia, maybe even at this point start sending aid a few years after. Maybe they would start a war in Vietnam to establish a puppet state, which seems unreasonable, but they probably would. Just because, they want Vietnam under their influence, because that'd be pretty convenient. So China invades, and they use Cambodia and Laos as areas to stage the invasion. Cambodia asks for some land in return for sending some troops, and China says yes. South of the Mekong River will give you some land. With Vietnam not having any rebels during this war, it shows that they did a good job. Unlike in the 70s when they just about failed. I don't think Thailand would have anybody come to their aid if they were invaded, because I don't think they have any, big alliances. And that's about south of the Mekong River. Not much land, but a bit of land is taken. With the rest of Vietnam becoming a puppet. China trying to increase cooperations between, their allies and this new puppet. And maybe the puppet should be about this color, a bit different, just to show the difference. And now the invasion of Thailand, which would be significant as this would allow a lot more access to land. But chances are India would try to resist this in the Western nations, but not well. With China invading from Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos. And, Bangkok is quickly captured. Thailand doesn't stand a chance against China. Well, at least I don't think. Hypothetically, they don't, but Russia and Ukraine, let's see. Ukraine should be already capitulated, but they didn't capitulate. A lot of stuff has been going on in the world. And yeah, let's give Vietnam some land. Not Laos, not Vietnam. What am I saying? And, well, Myanmar could probably take these lands. I would say looks reasonable, and maybe they would want some northern land for cooperating with China. They would try to get lands out of it for being their allies. And I think I'm going to call this the Chinese prosperity spare because, well, there's a co-prosperity. And I think using that as a good name would be a good idea. And yeah, many things have happened. But Thailand being small, yeah. Maybe even renamed to Siam. That seems like a good idea. But China probably trying to create a, more prosperity and more, free trade agreements. Probably. And this would also be a military alliance, just to let you know. Because, well, you can already tell that. With the new government, which is pro-China, being installed in Bangkok. Instead of China directly annexing it, which they probably could get away with, they won't exactly do that. And then they really use this to try and secure some more dominance in the Middle East. But they're probably not going to get more allies. With Syria just annexing Lebanon. Yes, is this a good idea? Now they have a bigger border with one of their enemies. But now where would China try and go? Probably to Africa. Who could be possible allies? Ethiopia, Egypt, and Algeria. But I say Algeria is probably the more Russian, so it probably wouldn't join, but it could. I don't think Egypt would, and Ethiopia has a chance of joining because it makes more sense. And then South America, maybe Venezuela would join, maybe they wouldn't, it's hard to say. At this point, if China would be strong enough to start gaining allies, but they probably have more influence over Russia, and they probably, since they're being more isolated from the West, I would say, would send more aid to Russia, which we will color Russia red, green for its invasion of purple Ukraine. Yep, Ukraine's going to be purple. And I didn't color in Russia's islands because that's just not necessary. I also didn't color in Kaliningrad, despite the fact that's part of Russia. So don't think I'm trying to say that. It's not. With China probably becoming more allied with Russia and probably even sending aid. But even then, could Russia really do much? With the first shipment of weapons from China arriving in Russia, it would probably change the battlefield a bit. But not much. But if they were giving economic help and stuff, along with military weapons, like aid to buy weapons, Russia might be able to take parts of southern Ukraine, more of Ukraine. China would probably try to get negotiations too. And if it doesn't work, which it probably didn't. With Russia using this for a northern offensive, so China starts sending jets and planes, that's probably a few months after it when Russia is trained in the Chinese weaponry. Assuming Chinese weaponry is really good, I could see Ukraine falling. Probably surrender before it's too late. They would probably be able to keep most lands. And instead of becoming a Russian puppet, where they surrendered, they decide to keep the lands they surrendered at, join NATO, and give up a big chunk of land. This would be unpopular, but I don't think there's any other decision if China managed to give aid that was actually successful. But this would also make Russia more dependent on China, which is a big deal because if they became more dependent on a nation, that would be bad for them. Now they have more claim on the South China Sea, which is a big deal. They probably would use this to their advantage. Maybe they would even try to ally with Afghanistan, and let's say Afghanistan accepts. But I think Iran has some ties with India. Economically, I'd say China's building ties with India. Politically, maybe not. And that's pretty much all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wait for the next video. If this is popular, I'll make it so China expands into Taiwan and starts a big war. And that's all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wild Mapper out. Bye, guys.